Hi, this is Olaf. I'm not the most talented triathlete. 12 years ago I couldn't even swim and I'd never really ridden a bike. But with a lot of determination, hard work and focus, I've been able to achieve pretty good results in the past. I had one podium in Kona at the World Championships, but that was back in 2013. And a few pretty disappointing results over there since then. But this year I'm training really hard in order to get back on the podium at one of the Ironman World Championships this year. So this is episode 7 of my journey to the Ironman World Championships in Kona and St. George, and today I'm going to talk about and analyze in detail the M50 54 age group and who is likely to come out on top. So update in terms of where I'm at. After last week, if you remember, I had a quite easy week, 16 hours, and now at the beginning of the last big training block for St. George, around 28 hours this week. So big one, and so far is going well. Had a great first quite tough bike session on the trainer. Here's how it went. Okay, first hard session of the week, just done. Like 4 times 10 minutes of FTP, or I don't know whether this is actually better. For me, 300 watts. So Monday brick, so not maximum for me heart rate. Doing the 10 minutes up to 150, 156, the last one. Yeah, not feeling destroyed, which is the most important at the moment. And just cool down and then a run on the 30-minute easy run on the treadmill. So far, off to a good start. Then I've also done, in terms of running, I've done a hill session with 6 times 4 minutes, quite steady on the way up, and 1 minute hard on the way down. So I have to be a bit careful on the down section. It smashes the legs quite a bit, but I think I was careful. So going well so far. Swimming, I've done 10 times 300. Have done 10 times 400, and we have a couple of big sessions, but more towards the end of this week. So we are 4.5 weeks away from St. George, just over 30 days, and so far so good. So in terms of priorities, again, no injury at the moment. Have a few niggles still around the knees, the feet, etc. But the Achilles, the calves, which are usually issues for me, no issue whatsoever. So I have to continue to be careful, but no injury. Haven't fallen off the bike. I do the easy stuff easy. I still struggle to do it really easy, but I do it quite easy. So it's allowing me to recover, and that has worked well. So the last thing I'm really have to focus on now, we start to get in the last month before the race, is also not to get sick. Be careful to take in your vitamins, and be careful just to get all the rest that I need. So all good so far, and looking forward for the next sessions this week. Hi, so I also wanted to answer one of your questions regarding my PBs, and maybe also for you to have a better sense of how that translates into times in an Ironman. So first about the swim, as I mentioned before, I couldn't swim 12 years ago, but have built it up for sure. In the past, I've been able to do like 30 or 40 times 100, leaving sort of on 135, 137. I have never really done sort of really speed tests, but anything sort of under 130, 125 was really good pace for me. With that, I was been able in the past to swim in 1 hour with wetsuit, and in Kona my best was sort of 102, 103. I've done also 106 before in Kona, just to give you an idea. But recently I've been swimming faster. I did a 1K with swim skin though in a 25-meter pool in 14:15, so that's the 125, 126 pace. So hopefully, with this swim skin, I can swim under 1 hour. But again, it depends pretty much on the course. I think what's also important is just to be, not as tired getting out of the water, and and being in a good position compared to where the competition is. In terms of bike, I think I've definitely lost power in the last few years. That comes with age, I would say. I suppose my FTP now is around sort of 300, 310. I would say. So with that, again, in the past I think it was a bit higher. On a flat course I've done 437, so it's 39 kilometers per hour. But usually on courses I do more around 445 to 450, and in Kona the last few races I did once 445 there, but that was a while back, so more around 5 hours, and the last one actually, but I wasn't super well prepared. I did 508, but I think that is my target, is to be under 5 hours on a tough course, and I think I can be competitive with that. That's pretty much what I can say about the bike. I obviously do long bike rides, up to 6-7 hours typically. We haven't done that yet. So far it's been more up to 5 hours. And then on the run, which is obviously the most important aspect of the race, I believe. So 3K, I did sort of under 10 minutes. I did a 10K last year where I did just under 35 on the track. I haven't really a half marathon PB and full marathon. I've never done a full marathon despite my 19 Ironmans. I've never done a full marathon just in a race. I find that almost scary because you have to start already, sort of at your target pace, anyway, I never really had the opportunity to do it, and I was never really looking forward to it either. I did once a 253 in training, but that was in Hong Kong around the Happy Valley track, which I think for some reason the governments overestimate how long it actually is, so the times are a little bit better, but I probably can run around 250 to 255, especially now with the carbon shoes. And so in my last Ironman races I've been able to run off the bike in 308 to 310, and obviously be quite competitive at that speed. So starting the Ironman at around 420, 410, and then hoping to hold it at around 430 is basically the target. But St. George is going to be up and down, so I have to do a little bit more analysis to have clear targets. I'll talk about race strategy in another episode, but just wanted to give you some idea what my PBs are and how they're translated into times in an Ironman. Okay, first I want to make a quick comment in terms of
the methodology of how I actually put the list together, because obviously it's quite difficult to compare different Ironman times. And so what I've basically done is, number one, if they were really old results, I added some time because I made some analysis in the past, and after 45, typically on average you lose actually 5 minutes per year. So if you look at the average times per year, they decrease by 5 minutes. Now I haven't applied that very consistently because, number one, the material has changed. I mean, the shoes, the carbon shoes, and also on the bike side, I think the times have dropped less than that over the last few years, but that's one thing I took into account. And then I also made some smaller adjustments. For example, Cozumel, there were, I added 15 minutes because of the super fast swim times, and some I also took some time off. But it's obviously very subjective. But I actually went through the 470 people, looked at what I'd done in the past, gave them a time, and came up with a list. But let me show you first how exactly I did that, because it's actually not as simple as you might think. So I just wanted to very quickly let you know how I put the list together. So as you probably know, if you go to Ironman World Championships, click on St.George, click on athletes, you actually have the participant list here, which you can then download. Now the problem is that it is given in alphabetical order, and you would then actually have to put them manually into Excel, which would be a complete pain and would take forever. So what I've done is I actually copied the entire list. I found that it was actually better to do it first, copy it in Word, then put in Excel, but which gives you a list like this, which still you cannot really do much with. So what I had to do was to actually write a little macro, which I was able to do from my finance days, which sort All right, so let's have a look at the results together. So first of all, by country, I thought that was the first quite interesting information. So 299 participants from the USA. I guess that's partly also due because initially it was just a local race where anybody could sign up. And then we have 26 from Canada, 23 from Great Britain, 19 Germany, 14 France, and 11 Mexico, and then it goes down quite quickly. So it is a World Championships, normal that you have quite a lot of people from all over the world. Obviously what's special for this one is that I guess Australia and New Zealand are still massively underrepresented in that list, and again just the massive amount of Americans. Then the second thing I looked at is the times. As I mentioned before, sort of I looked through, and this is basically by bracket. So it's quite shocking to me that, for a world championship, how many or how big the differences are and how many people you have, over 10 or even 11 hours. I mean, even over 11 hours, you have 370. So 2/3 of the participants in my age group have a best time of over 11 hours. So I find that a bit weird, but again, I think it comes from the fact that number one, it is St.George, it's not Kona, although in Kona a little bit of the same is true, and I'm always a bit shocked at how many sort of slower competitors there are. And here on top of it, as I mentioned, people were able to sign up for the race before actually it became a world championship, so that is also probably one of the reasons why you have quite a lot of slower competitors also in the field. But again, if you look at it, you can see that you have only 15 competitors who actually have a time of below 9 hours and 30, which again, I think for an Ironman 15 minutes is a quite big time at the once you start running and once you are past 20k and your race is pretty much done. Well, not done, but from that point you basically just go as fast as you can. So 5 minutes or even at the end sort of 2 minutes is a huge difference. So 30 minutes in terms of Ironman times is really massive. So you only have 15 people who have ever done pretty much below 9 hours and 30, and even only 35 people, or if you go up to 10 hours, you basically have 55 people who have done under 10 hours at an Ironman World Championship. So it just shows that I think it's not totally at the level of Kona. That is just a fact, which also means that it's going to be quite open. So will be interesting to see what actually how good the performances are at the end, knowing that the course is really tough. I mean, I'll do another episode on more specifically the course, but the bike is really tough and the run is really tough. So there probably won't be times around 9 hours in the race. It's more going to be like a Kona, and in the 50-54 age group, the best times are probably more going to be around 9:30 than under 9 hours. But let's look at the top guys. And first of all, which came a little bit of a shock to me when I actually did the list, as I mentioned, is that I, at the moment at least, maybe there are some others that come through, but at the moment I'm actually up there. So no pressure. It's a bit weird to see me up there because it's. But I think what that means and what is to be taken away from there is that there's no clear favorite for this race, and probably it depends on the preparation. It depends on a lot of things, obviously, how you end up being at the race. But yeah, it was quite shocking to me, first of all, that by looking at all the times, I took my 9 hours or 5 that I did past October, and took a bit of time away for the flat that I needed to. Sorry, for the fact that I rode with 3 other guys. We lost 4 minutes because we rode off course, so that gives a 9:01. But let's have a look at them more in detail. So me, I finished 2019 Ironman Western Australia as a 9 hours. I did Ironman Texas in 9:05 with sort of 4 minutes because I was off the course. I was 4th in Kona in 2013 and 12th at the Ironman World Championships in Nice at the 70.3 World Championships. So that's sort of where I'm coming from. Then we have Anthony Philippe, who's defending Ironman World Champion. He has done 9 hours 17 in Kona in 2019. Seems to be a really nice guy. I've read an interview that he has given after this world champ title. Not somebody who wins all his races, but he had there really a fantastic time of 9:17. I've taken a bit of time off again because I think but let's see again. I think the course is also quite, but just to make it comparative, obviously if you do well in Kona, it is better than in other races, so that's why I gave him a 9:05. Now, interestingly, in 2021, last year, I finished only 4th at Ironman South Africa and Ironman Lanzarote, so not, you probably cannot be, but not sort of totally dominant either. Then you have Laurent Jalabert, who's already 54, so this is last year in his age group actually, so some of you might know him. He's an ex-pro. He won the 2019 Iron World Championships. He was second in Hawaii, so he has never won Hawaii, but has gone there several times. He was second in 2019. I beat him actually in 2013 in Hawaii when I was 4th. I think he was 6th. He was second in Argentina in 9:42, so he's definitely a strong contender. He definitely doped when he was a cyclist, so should he race or not? Well, rules are that he's definitely not unbeatable. I always listen to him. He does the comments for the Tour de France. Seems to be also a very nice guy, and definitely one of the top contenders. Then you have Lenny Christensen from Denmark, also 54. He actually did 8 hours 52 in Cozumel, but only 3rd in his age group there. He was 5th in Kona 2019, so top 5 already at the World Championship. 2nd in Copenhagen in 9 hours 08 in 2019. So I think also one of the top contenders. Rich Viola, who's always done super well in Kona, he was 2nd 2017 with 9:20, but he has done really no race since 2018, so a bit of a question mark. But I do believe that he's a coach, etc. So definitely staying fit. Then Arkadiusz Bodziewski from Poland. He finished 1st at Ironman Vitoria in Italy, I believe, in 8:06, but with no swim, and he was 10th in Kona 2019. So again, people who have performed well, but also 7th at Tallinn 2020, 10th in Roth. So also not consistently fantastic results. Then you have Ronan Pavoni. He was 14th in Hawaii 2018, 1st in Cozumel 2018, in Kona 2019 he was further back. In 8th I have Scott Witherstone. He won Mallorca. I I let you go through the list, but you have basically lots of people from here which either have won Ironman races, have placed pretty well in Kona, so not unexpected, so definitely strong competitors. But as you can see, nobody who's above the lot, nobody who has done consistently fantastic results. So will be, so for me that means the race is really very open. It means that there's a lot of potential. It's definitely possible to finish on the podium. It increased sort of my confidence in the race. Again, I don't consider myself by any means a favorite. This is just sort of a small analysis that I typically always like to do before Kona as well, to give me some idea on where the competition is. It is sort of only St.George, but it is nevertheless a World Championship. I'm super excited about it. It will be a very tough race, so I have to prepare mentally to suffer. You have to prepare mentally not to get excited or frustrated with the bad times after the bike, etc. Because it's going to be tough for everyone, and it's not going to be amazing times for sure. And so you need to be able to suffer for 10 hours rather than 9, and still you can sort of finish on the podium at the end of it, if you manage it well. So looking forward to it. Was happy to share it. Quite excited. Wasn't really my intention to finish sort of there on top, but it was done subjectively, so maybe I did include some bias there, but this is basically what the top guys who have qualified for the Ironman World Championships in St. George look like. So hope this episode was useful and that you liked it. Press the like, subscribe. Really appreciate have each and every one of you along on this journey. As I mentioned before, it's helping me also tremendously, staying focused on what's really important and making sure I execute the plan on a day-to-day basis as well as I possibly can. So thanks again and stay tuned.
Well,